Uh, Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and welcome to Soul Sunday. For those of you who may be new to the broadcast, let me just explain. We are going to have what we call our Soul Sunday. That's where we try and chill down a bit and get ourselves in a nice space ready for the coming week. And you will find that we will have certain people come in and out, and we'll have certain discussions. What's going to happen is I'm going to read you all sorts of quotes. Whether you choose to participate in the chat or not is fine. The main point about doing these broadcasts is if this helps at all, if you have a moment in your life right now where you could do with a little bit of peace, then feel free just to watch if that's what you want to do. If you feel like participating, that's great. If you're new to the broadcast, I will probably ask if you want me to repeat what you've said if I think it may not be something you want for the whole world to see or hear, and that is up to you. So first of all, hi to Isabel, Beth, and Jody. Welcome to you and anybody else who might be out there. I see we got 5 people watching at the moment. There's Trina. Hi, Trina. You know something? We know it's late where you are in Ireland, so we totally appreciate the fact you're here, if even for a little while. And everybody, it's, sorry, I'm just moving my screen around here so that I can see everybody. Forgive me, I can't do it until I'm actually on air. All right, and so today, I found some really, what I think are some really beautiful quotes from the Peace Pilgrim. Have any of you ever heard of him? Hang on a second. And I just think that after you've heard some of the quotes, you may want to do a little bit more research. I'll put some links in for you on the DearMamaSal.com page, in the resources. For those of you who don't know what that is, at DearMamaSal.com, we have a broadcast tab there. And if you click on that, part of that is the resources. And whenever we talk about anything that I think might be of interest to people, and they may want to come back to it later, I will put it into the resource tab, as long as Jody reminds me. Jody, for those of you who don't know, is the person who keeps me sane. Jody is our admin, and a big round of applause, because regardless of what's going on in her life, she is just here every week, and it just amazes me. And I am so very, very grateful. All right, everybody, so let's go. Now, here's the first one, and give this, what we do is we put out the quote, and then everybody sort of feeds back what it is that what their feeling is as they hear that quote, knowing that we could do the same quote next week and their feeling might be completely different. So it's just, where are you at today? So here's the first one from the Peace Pilgrim. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. Yow. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. For those of you who know about the law of attraction, you will know that when we think negative things, we attract negative things. So may I ask you, for those of you who are in the feed and chatting, do you correct yourself? Do you actually think a negative thought and then go, oops, that's not going to get me very far? That's interesting. Jody's saying, I'm starting to understand the power of our thoughts. Yeah, what about the power of yours? I like that you were inclusive in your comment, the power of our thoughts. But, I think when we individually can understand the power of our thoughts individually, then we will see that just by changing our thoughts, we can change the world. Wow, Trina's saying, wow, woo, actually, she said, I took a big breath in when you said those words. Yes, I had a feeling, quite a few of you, because you've progressed to such a stage now that you can see it. That is my belief. I believe you've easy for me to say. You have progressed to such a place now that you can actually see that that is true. This one is beautiful. You keep your feet on the ground and your thoughts at lofty heights. So continue to dream big. There's no reason why not to. I believe one of the gurus said, plan for a miracle. All right, so think big, but keep your feet on the ground. Deal with what you have to deal with today. Yes, there you go, Beth. Beth saying, just like when I'm at work and have a negative customer or employee, it infects everybody. And listen to that great word. It infects. How many of you have been infected by the negativity of others? Now, that's not saying you're not allowed to be sad. That's not saying you're not allowed to have a bad day. That's saying on a day-to-day basis, are you controlling your negative thoughts? And if you are living a much happier life. I am really working hard this year, as some of you know, on my emotional intelligence about these sort of things. And I literally am going 3 or 4 times a day into my thinking and going, what did I just think then? I don't like that thought. I wouldn't like somebody to think that about me. So why am I thinking about it, about somebody else? And I consciously make a point of shifting it. The other thing I'm making a conscious point of doing, and I would recommend that those of you who follow us do the same thing. There's a lot of news at the moment about the movie star who got attacked, and then it was said that, he actually orchestrated the attack. But, the truth is, we don't know. We don't know the truth yet, all right? Because we've got all sorts of different versions of this. And if you can just stay in the middle and go, I will let the lawyers and the police and everybody else sort this out. We don't need any more of this hanging people in the court of public opinion. And I would encourage you to work on that this week, especially with this particular one, because it's easier in a way to work your mind around it. Just try and stay in balance and go, yeah, I hear that, but let's hear what the other side has to say, and let's try and keep this in balance. The Peace Pilgrim also said, pure love is a willingness to give without thought of receiving anything in return. Pure love is a willingness to give without a thought of receiving anything in return. How magical is that? And I know a lot of you do that already. And that is your joy, I believe. That when I meet people who are joyful, they are nearly always givers. And not conditional givers, they are givers. Beth is saying, not many people stay negative around me anymore because I won't let them infect me. Yay. I turn around and infect them back with love and compassion. I'm proud of you, Beth. Not easy to do, but if you have it for yourself, you can share it with others, right? And the other thing is, Beth, I believe you were given the incredible journey you have lived in your life to bring you to this moment. I really have to say that you would not have the compassion that you do if you hadn't lived the terrors that you've lived. And I think you've lived a full enough life that you can look back and relate to so many things now, and thereby help an awful lot of people. And I am honored that you do that. Anything that you cannot relinquish when it has outlived its useful purpose possesses you. And in this materialistic age, a great many of us are possessed by our possessions. Boy, do I know that one. For those of you who don't know, I'm just, finishing off a year of downsizing, and I could do another year and halve it all again. It is amazing. Right. And that's beautiful. Beth is saying it was like a light switch. I see the light in everyone, even if they don't see it in themselves. Bingo. And all the time, Beth, or do you have some days better than others? We just want to know whether you've got a halo and wings yet, or whether you're just flying in our universe. And I say that because I think what happens is so often, thank you, Beth. She says some days are better than others. Yeah. How many of you relate to that one? There are days, when people say to me, "Oh, you are such a nice person, Mama Sal." And I say, "Yeah, catch me on another day." There are an awful lot of people in this world that would not agree with you. But they caught me when I was very passionate about something. But we're working towards peace. Unnecessary possessions are unnecessary burdens. If you have them, you have to take care of them. There is great freedom in simplicity of living. It is those who have enough, but not too much, who are the happiest. I really have to say to you all that I am amazed how many things I now have stored away in boxes in my garage that I haven't seen, for some of them for 6 months, some of them for a year. And I think I've been down to get something out of a box once. Isn't that amazing? Maybe twice. I've managed to live with what I've got upstairs, not what I put downstairs. Okay, so Beth's saying, yesterday my boss said, "How do I stay so positive?" I said, "Negativity stops me in my tracks. So my Energizer Bunny," thank you, in myself won't allow me to do that anymore. Yeah, we control that. We decide whether we're going to have happy thoughts or sad ones. And, I think for those of you who listened to the Friday broadcasts, we had some incredible growth from different people. For those of you who don't know, we have 3 broadcasts a week and they're very different. The one on a Friday lunchtime, my time, which is Pacific time, we do a pretty intense, one step at a time, trying to deal with our emotions. And then on the Friday evening, we have another one where we deal with sort of topics related to that, but in a different way. And then we have our Soul Sundays. Do not suppress it. That would hurt you inside. Do not express it. This would only hurt you inside. It would cause ripples in your surroundings. What you do is to transform it. So how many of you could think about that in terms of when you get a little bit angry? Do not suppress it, because it would hurt you inside. As some of you know, I've always said I believe that depression is when we turn our anger inward. Do not express it, right? Because that's where we hurt other people, because it would only hurt you inside. How many of you have had that, where you let out words in anger that you can never in a lifetime take back again? Oh boy, I've had more than my fair share of those. And so do not express it. This would only cause hurt inside, and it would cause ripples in your surroundings. I've caused dirty great waves, never mind ripples. What you do is to transform it. Now, I think a lot of you who are regulars here, hi Linda, okay, I just want to read that out loud because it's important for those people who are long-time viewers. Linda's saying that Paul on, that's the original Paul, not the Brit, appears he's had a mini stroke. And as far as we know, he is okay. And thank you so much for letting us know. And Linda, is there any way you could just say that we pass on our thoughts and prayers? That, those of us who are here on the broadcast just wanted to pass on our thoughts and prayers for him. If you could do that for me, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you. And all of you, let us have a moment just to wish him all the best and a healthy recovery. Beth is saying, when I get angry, I go somewhere private and either cry it out or scream. Then I compose myself and then think rationally. All right, so for those of you who might not know what Beth is talking about, one of the things that we talk about every week now is in every thought you have has to go through your emotions, the emotional part of your brain on its way to the rational. And when you can feel yourself in the emotional part of your brain, that's what Beth is saying. She knows that anger, that thought, which is anger, is an emotion. So she knows she's in the emotional part of her brain. And so what she does is she goes somewhere quiet so that she can have a little cry. It's meant to be teardrops. She can have a little cry, or the other thing is to let out a scream. If she's somewhere safe where she can scream, like on a beach or in a forest or something, that she can let that out. That is incredible. Yes, go right ahead, Linda. Ask the question. And so if she can do that, if she can get out that anger, whatever, in a safe place, or maybe talk to one of us because she knows we're safe to talk to, all right? And then she can get back into rational and deal with things in a logical way. And that is our whole trip this year, is how quickly can we see its emotion, deal with it as emotion, and then move on to being rational. How many of you are finding already, we're only in February, how many of you are finding already you're doing that a whole lot better this year? Before the tongue can speak, it must have lost the power to wound. How about that, Beth? It was made for you, right? Before the tongue can speak, it must have lost the power to wound. And that is exactly what Beth is talking about. So that she doesn't talk to people in anger, she lets out the anger before she talks to people. Awesome stuff. Linda, go right ahead with that question. The way of peace is the way of love. Love is the greatest power on earth. It conquers all things. And I want to say that it takes, how many of you find that it takes quite a lot of work? I just want to check this out. Do you find that it takes quite a lot of work to come from a place of love? I was thinking about it this week, and one of the things that I was thinking about was, why is it such a difficult thing to come from a place of love when really it is who we are? When we get right down to it, if we had a perfect world, wouldn't you be doing everything from a place of love? And the rest of it is all stuff that other people have layered on us in some way. All right, so Linda's saying family not spoken to for 15 years. A cousin has appeared and I haven't seen him for 31 years. He feels my dad is his dad due to problems with my uncle. His mom, my auntie, has died. And he wants me to go to the funeral, but I feel it will be problematic. Good night, Trina. All right, what he wants and what you choose to do could be very different. All right. Linda, do you understand what I'm saying? What he wants is his stuff. And you can hear him. You can say, I hear that you would like me to be there. But unfortunately, as much as I'd like to be able to say yes, I can't. I am unable to be there. And if he says why, you will say, that is something I cannot discuss with you. It's private, unfortunately. But I will not be able to be there. If that's really what you want. I had it happen in my lifetime, Linda, where somebody I was married to, quite honestly, died. And I chose not to go to their funeral. My whole belief was that I was married to the man for less than 2 years. His behavior was so bad to me, I felt that I didn't have great love left, and we haven't spoken but once or twice in 30 years. So to me, it was like, I thought it would almost be just, if I went to the funeral, it would be to be seen, not because I felt that way. All right, so Linda's saying yes, which is what I have said, but he is prepared to fight my corner for me. I just don't feel it's the place. No, you go with your gut, Linda. You're not a stupid person. What is it that you want him to fight for you? You see, I think, one of the interesting things in families is the expectation. And I know some families are really close, but if you have not seen this person for 31 years, I don't think he has a great deal of call on you, one way or the other. And, the fact that he thinks that your father was also his father, and therefore you are brother and sister at some level, I think I'd want that proven before I had let that pull me too much. So that is, but on the other hand, have compassion. And if he says, is there any way that DNA can be checked to find out? I'm not quite sure who has died. Or is it, all right, his mom died. Okay, fine, got it. All right, so it's something, Linda, it's great that he agrees with you on the actions that you took within the family. But something, that's about it. Now, unless you particularly want him back into your life, my concern is this coming from a place of grieving? And what I would do is I would say, I'm sure you've got more than your fair share of stuff to be dealing with at this time with the death of your mom. So why don't we, as you said, this is not really the place or time to be discussing the relationship thing. Maybe we could discuss this, maybe in a year when all this is settled down and we're all back in a different space. If you still feel that you want to. Or whatever time span you think, Linda. Maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year. It's up to you. He cannot control. Yeah, you see, Beth is saying it's too bad he didn't let you know earlier. Yeah, but he didn't. So we got to deal with today. And Beth's saying, my question would be, why now? Why not now? He has reason to call her because of the death of the aunt. So, why not now? But it doesn't mean that Linda has to deal with it now if she doesn't want to. That is the point that I want Linda to get really clear on. just because somebody else wants you to do something doesn't mean you have to, right? If you feel that this would bring angst into your life that you don't necessarily want, you don't have to have it. On the other hand, if you feel he might have a point, then I would probably say, you'd like to revisit this in about 3 months when you've got time to process it a bit. And in the meantime, maybe he'd like to do some DNA testing. Oh, he came forward before my aunt died, but he has chosen to offer me to go to the funeral. I didn't want to go to the funeral in the first place, just wanted to hear somebody else saying, okay, fine. You needed permission not to go? Yes, Beth is saying we had people come out of the woodwork when my mom died. They were just interested in the inheritance. I found that as well. When my father died, my real father, I had people coming up to me at the funeral or at the memorial, coming to me and actually literally asking for money. And I'm going, first of all, what makes you think I inherited any of it? And secondly, even if I had, this would not be the appropriate time or place. Linda, any decision you make for you is the right decision. I think in your heart, in your gut, you knew what the right decision was, right? Now, I'm not saying that my view is necessarily the right view. I'm just saying the old me would have gone out of guilt. I don't do that anymore. How about this one? Worry is a useless mulling over things we cannot change. Worrying is just mulling over things that we cannot change. I'm so getting so much better at that. Not at worrying, at letting it go and going, what's the point of worrying? I can't change what's already happened. I cannot really change what's about to happen. I just have to do the best I can with it today. Humanity has only scratched the surface of its real potential. Linda's saying, right word, Sal. Thank you. Guilt. Yeah. I used to do a lot of things out of guilt or shame or have to's, and I won't anymore. I do them now because I want to. And that's including going to funerals that other people went, why did you go? You hardly know the person. Yeah, but I like the person. Like I had the right reason to go. Or you never met this person. Why would you go to their funeral? Well, I like the son or daughter. And I went out of respect for the son or daughter. This is the way of peace. Overcome evil with good, falsehood with truth, and hatred with love. This is the way of peace. Overcome evil with good, falsehood with truth, and hatred with love. So it's okay that other people can think badly of you because it doesn't really matter. And from my experience, it doesn't really matter how much you try and convince them otherwise, they really change their mind. And it's okay if only a few people like the real you, because all that you need in your life is a few people who like the real you. And life becomes very different when you have those people around you. There is a criteria by which you can judge whether the thoughts you are thinking and the things you are doing are right for you. The criteria is, have they brought you inner peace? Wow. There is a criteria by which you can judge whether the thoughts you are thinking, the things that you are doing, if they are right for you. The criteria is, have they brought you inner peace? How many of you can feel that one? It's really strange for me on a Sunday. Sunday is my peace day. You know, it is my soul Sunday. I must admit, and I only have 3 things on my agenda for a Sunday. I really simplified what I do on a Sunday. Sundays, I actually need to get up and eat. Yeah, that's quite an important one. You know, and it's funny because, you know, I literally go, okay, my first task on a Sunday is to get up. Well, you know, the 2 cups of latte are obviously very important. And my second one is to, you know, make sure that I'm ready for the evening meal. Yes, Linda's saying the roast with Yorkshire pudding. Yeah. Actually, today we are having beef barley stew. And I'm just thinking about opening up a bottle of red wine and throwing some of that in there to make it very tasty. but I'll see about that. But, you know, it's funny. That's my second thought is, am I ready to cook dinner after the broadcast is finished? And of course, the broadcast is my third one. No, I'm not doing dumplings. I've got a feeling dumplings are probably not a good thing for me to be eating. Although I must admit, I did think about it, Linda, funnily enough. How about this for an incredible quote? He said, "People see themselves as the center of the universe and judge everything as it relates to them." You know, I was talking about this thing that's in the news at the moment, and it was so easy to feel sorry for the guy when you heard the first part of that news. And then when you heard that possibly he had orchestrated it, you know, how easy it was to totally reverse that thinking. And then I thought, you know, because that was such a dramatic shift, I think I need to stay in the middle of this. I really believe that I need to stay and think about, what if this isn't true? I mean, what if it is true? And he did get attacked. And only time will sort that one out. I have a very sad, there was part of me that felt great sorrow for him, because regardless of what has happened, his career is probably done for, you know, many reasons. And if he didn't do it, you know, if he didn't orchestrate it, what a sad thing to have had happen. You know, and I also listened to Bill Cosby saying how much he is enjoying not quite enjoying his time in prison, but that he was comparing himself to Mandela, I think, and Martin Luther King. And I'm going, you know something, if that's what keeps him alive, you know, so be it. I found it difficult to let go of my hatred for what I believe he did. But it was like, there's part of me that's going, he's not allowed into, as far as I know, he's not in general population yet, although I think they're considering it. And, you know, my great fear would be, if they let him into general population, will he survive? Because prisoners have a way of dealing with people who abuse people. You know, it's really funny, strange, funny, that they will tolerate thieves and all sorts of things, and even murderers. But, you know, you abuse the innocent in any way, They have a way of dealing with it, and it's not good. To attain inner peace, you must actually give your life, not just your possessions. When you at last give your life, bringing into alignment your beliefs and the way you live them, and then, only then, can you begin to find inner peace. And I want to move on to some other quotes that are sort of associated with this. This one comes from Carol Burnett, for those of you old enough to remember her. She said, "Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me." Yes, you know something, Linda, that's why I like to do the Soul Sundays, because I really do believe we all strive for inner peace. And that is really what being, I believe, you know, what being emotionally intelligent is all about, is how quickly can you get through your emotional side and onto your real side. Because your real side, and would I be fair in saying that? Is there anybody here who actually thinks they are a wicked witch, you know, naturally? Or do you think that you actually are a kind person, but life pushed you a bit too far, which turned you into, you know, the monster that you became at one point in your life, or not? Because, you know, I look at it and go, if I stay in my nice place, I believe I will think and act nicely. Not all the time, because I am a human being. But then when I get out of it, I will remember I must have been pushed back into emotion, because the real me, the reality is I'm actually quite a nice person most of the time. But the time when I'm not is when I'm, would you agree with that? The time when you're not quite as nice, you are emotionally charged. You know, when you can see that one, you go, that's interesting. And George Sand said, there is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. It doesn't mean that you have to be in a relationship, for those of you who are alone. I find that to be loved, you know, you can be loved by everybody around you. They don't have to be related, and you can have family that isn't your own family. By the way, for those of you who know Dougie, he had planned to be a good son and come and visit me, because I haven't seen him all year yet, because he was away, as you know. And I still have his Christmas presents here. And I am certain he has brought me gifts back from Kenya, because he always does. But, you know, it's like he planned to visit me and then had to cancel it because of the snow. And then he said to me, you know, let's make it next Saturday. And I said, that's a good idea. And I just checked the weather forecast, and it appears that we could have even more snow next Saturday. And so I wrote him a little text and I said, honey, let's check on Friday whether we're going to do Saturday or not. Because as much as I want to see him, I would far rather not see him and have him be safe. Do any of you relate to that? It's not that I don't want to see him. And unfortunately, where he lives has a very bad telephone connection, or a cell phone connection, because whenever he phones me from home, I can hardly hear him. You know, it just breaks up the whole time. So, but I think what I should do is set up to talk to him on Hangouts or something, so that I can see him. How about that? Safety comes first. Yes, I would far rather he is safe. Exactly. Earl Nightingale said, learn to enjoy every minute of your life. Be happy now. Don't wait for something outside of yourself to make you happy in the future. Think how really precious this time is. The time you have to spend, whether it's at work or with your family. Every minute should be enjoyed and save it. Anybody want me to read that one again? So true, isn't it? It just sort of makes you realize we spend so much time being miserable in the past or stressing out about the future, when in fact our job is to live in the moment. And if we can live in the moment, life will unfold as it should. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And that is so true. I look at it now and I can see I could have lived my life very differently if I had been in control of my emotions early on. But I probably wouldn't be here talking to you. So I'm really happy that I lived the life I have. Yes, but that itself needs practice. I agree, Linda. And that's what we're doing, right? Is that's the whole reason we get together 3 times a week, is to challenge ourselves, to be honest with ourselves, and to hopefully improve ourselves. And we will know if we are improving because we will feel peace more often. I think that would be the measure of, if you're wondering, how am I doing on this? Well, do you feel more peaceful? Do you feel more in control of your life than you did prior to being part of DearMamaSal? Only you can answer that. And Kenneth Branagh, who was married to Emma. Yeah, somebody's going to help me with it. The British actress. I will get there. Somebody will help me through that. Anyway, Emma Thompson, right? Yeah, they were married. I don't think they still are, but they were married. Anyway, Kenneth said, lighten up and just enjoy life. Smile more, laugh more, and don't get so worked up about things. Yeah, I definitely, I definitely am learning that one. Took me a long time. How many of you believe this one? The greatest gift of life is friendship, and I have received it. Hubert Humphrey said that. How many of you have lived a happier life because of your friends? Hi, Kimmy, welcome. The subject today is peace. And I started off by doing a whole lot of quotes from the Peace Pilgrim. And so you know what you have missed so far. So how many of you feel that you have lived a happier life because of your friendships? Maybe you are redeveloping some. I know Jody is. How many of you can see that your friendships are a vital part of your life and in some ways are more meaningful to you than maybe those of your direct family? And if you have, a slightly dysfunctional or majorly dysfunctional family, you can choose to create a family of your own. And I know that some of you have done that. And you're going, gosh, well, where do I find them? Well, they're all around you if you choose. Linda's saying, yep, from Sal and the Peeps, friendships. Yes, and I think, yeah, Beth is saying, I'm 49 and just now have begun friendships. Yes, what were they before, Beth? How many of you can relate to the fact that you had pretend friends in your life? And yeah, Beth is saying she had enemies. Right. And so, you look at it and you go, oh, what if, so Beth, as you seem to be quite straight on that now, what do your friendships bring you? And all of you think about that. Why? Beth saying everybody was against me. Well, in my head. Yeah, I want to tell you that if you are lucky enough to have people in your life who know you at your best and your worst and still love you, those are your friends. Whether they're family or not is another thing. And I choose those people to be my family. The people who have seen me when I've been a superstar, and they have seen me when I've been down to my last, $10 in life, when I have been a compassionate, unbelievably compassionate person, or they have seen my bitch from hell. And I've got to say it that way. But they still love me because they still know who I am at my core. And I don't want any excuses for my bad days because I shouldn't have them. They were loss of control. But I am so grateful those who saw past that and remembered who I really am. Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. Right. How many of you know that when we do the challenging work on Fridays, that sort of opens up a whole line of thinking that allows us to be very different? All right, Kimmy's saying, not in my head, and not all people are against me, just certain people. Yes, there always will be, Kim. If you're normal, there'll be certain people who just won't get you. They're not your people, if you know what I mean. Beth is saying, it has opened up my world. I see and understand what everybody else already knew, that people need people. Without people, we are alone. Very wise, Beth. And Linda's saying, it takes a lot to let anyone see my true core. Well, why were we so honored, or did we never see it? Jody is saying, my close friends, whether they are real life friends or ones I've met online, are absolutely as close to me as family members, and some even closer. Yeah. So Linda's answer to my question about has she let us see the true her? She's not sure, honestly. Well, I want to tell you something, Linda, just in case you are not aware. I believe that in the time that I have known you, I have seen both sides of both your heaven and your hell. And for that, I am very grateful that you shared them with me. But I want to tell you that anybody that can dedicate their life to their son the way that you have, there has to be a special place in heaven for you. And, as far as I'm concerned, you you are an awesome human being. And I just, I'm pretty certain that you weren't born with the coping skills you have learned. And you learned them because you had to. You learned them because if you didn't stand strong for your son, you wouldn't have a son. And in so many ways, all right. And so I look at it, Linda, and I think, if you're ever in doubt as to who the real you is, speak to any of us who know you. And because maybe you've been BSing us for the last few years, but I don't think so. I think you're an awesome human being. And again, it is my honor to know you, because you could have taken the easier route so many times and you didn't. You chose an incredible life, and one that most of us could not have coped with. And so I want you, when you ask yourself, who is the real me? I want you to see the real you as somebody with great courage, as somebody with incredible love, and somebody who did what it took to be able to get what you needed to look after yourself, even at the risk of your own life, and even at times when you thought you were going insane with the responsibility, and yet you hung in there. Boy, I'm not sure about the other viewers that know you, but I'm pretty proud to know you myself. I see your name pop up and I smile inside. I don't go, oh gosh, there's Linda. I go, oh, there's Linda. How selfish is that of me? And this is a beautiful quote. It says, because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. Because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. Awesome. Change your life today. Don't gamble on the future. Act now without delay. Change your life today. This one says, smile in the mirror. Do that every morning and you'll start to see a big difference in your life. You know who said that? Yoko Ono. Smile in the mirror. Do it every morning and you'll start to see a big difference in your life. I don't know about you, but I have to wait till my second cup of coffee before I could face that. Well, this is really, Norman Cousins said this, and it's a really meaningful thing. It says, death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. It's very kind of you, Linda, saying after that speech, Sal, thank you, but your smile makes me smile and it gets me moving. No, you get yourself moving, honey. I love, hi there, Nyasha. I love that you give me credit for it. But, very kind of you, thank you. But you know something? You make you smile. But on the other hand, I know what you mean. I've got one emoji that I put up every night to say good night. And it's of an emoji yawning, and it makes me yawn. It makes me yawn just looking at it. So I understand what you're saying. Yes, Beth, coffee first, then smile. It's like, two coffees, actually. And, I need one cup of coffee for each of my brain cells. First one starts the first one kicking in, and then the second one, once I got them both, doing their orbits inside my head, then I can face the day. It takes me, how long does it take you to get functioning? It takes me about 2 hours these days. Philip Sweet, what a nice name, said, stay true to yourself, yet always be open to learn. Work hard, never give up on your dreams, even when nobody else believes they can come true but you. These are not cliches, but real tools that you need no matter what you do in life to stay focused on your path. It was so funny. I put up literally a tiny little video yesterday. I've got those things called the egglets, where you can do boiled eggs out of their shells. And I love it because it's so good for meal prepping, Beth. It's so good for meal prepping. But one of the things that was driving me insane was they kept falling over when they were boiling, and then they'd get water in them, and then, it just didn't work as well. And the funny thing is that I thought there has to be an easy answer to this. And I kept thinking there has to be an easy answer to this. And there has to be an easy answer to this. And then yesterday, for some weird reason, I thought, why don't you thread them on a bamboo stick? And I went, that would be a really good idea. And I went and got a bamboo stick and I threaded them on, and it works beautifully. But, the funny thing is, I put it up, and Yvonne sent me a text and said, wow, so clever. And I laughed and I said to her, yes, I have to remember that my little moments of brilliance, people do enjoy them, and I have to remember to keep putting those up. And, I've got out of the habit of doing those little tips and tricks type videos. I think at some level I also felt that, again, that it was a little bit egotistical. But, I hadn't seen anybody else come up with the answer, so I thought it was fair enough that I had found an answer and I could put it up. It's like my how to clean Swiffer dusters. I'm amazed how many people still write to me about that and how many views it still gets. It is amazing. Mind you, the windshield wipers, far and away. And if you want a lesson in how to deal with negative people, I got a viewer who wrote to me today and said about the windshield wipers, it doesn't work. And then something, and I read it and I went, well, for some, I guess it doesn't. And I just literally typed back and said, thank you for taking the time to give me your input, and let it go. I don't have to try and convince him otherwise. Life without growth, this is Beth again being as wise as she can be. Beth, without growth is no life at all. That is for us. And I say for us because I think I'm a lifelong learner as well. I can feel it inside my being when I learn something, or when I find the answer to something. Swippers in English. Wait a minute. Wait. Picture paints 1,000 words. This is about 7 years old, and it still looks brand new. It's not a duster. Believe me, this is not a duster. How many of you agree with me? It's a Swiffer duster. There's a whole lot of difference. This doesn't move the dust around. It takes in the dust. So, but I'm glad you asked. So as we think about this, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of things. Number one, I think it's Coco's birthday tomorrow. So how many of you remember Coco? Anyone? Linda's from Great Britain. The UK. England even. Do any of you remember Coco? I'm pretty sure that some of you might. Anyway, it's her birthday tomorrow. I also believe that it is Leah and Wayne's anniversary today. I think I saw 23 years. Oh, today is Beth's twin daughter's birthday. Catherine and Victoria, 26 today. Awesome. Jody, can you just make a note of that so that we, and also Leah and Wayne, that it's their anniversary. So that is awesome. And boy, what would you teach them today? What would you teach them today that you didn't teach them back then? You know, I think that's really interesting, but I look at it and go, I really believe I needed to learn all the lessons I've learned in my life to be able to be at the place that I'm in right now. And that is the strange thing. That, you know, I just don't believe that I would be in the place that I'm in now if I hadn't lived the life that I had. So anybody else got any birthdays or anniversaries that we need to be aware of? Yes, Linda's saying, I am where I am because of every decision I have ever made. Yeah, I do believe that. Kimmy's convinced that they have Swiffers in the UK. I wonder if they call them something different. I have a feeling that they must call them Swiffers because I believe I've had people thank me from England. I've actually had thank you from Germany as well. So I've got a feeling that they are called Swiffers in Europe. Now, how many of you can relate to this? Norman Cousins, who we quoted earlier, said, the eternal quest of the individual human being is to shatter his or her loneliness. Kimmy, I think they do because I know, I know my statistics show me that I have a very high following on that subject in Germany. Yeah, Linda's led a sheltered life. Yeah, you know, just look them up. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that by now, knowing Jody, she's busy Googling, do they sell Swiffers in the UK or something? So we'll get the answer pretty soon. Wow, yes, exactly. You know, Nia's just saying, I never thought of that. So all my struggle means my life isn't finished yet. I haven't gotten to where I wanted to go. Okay, wow. Yes, you see, you never really know where you are meant to go, but life will lead you there. Jody says, yes, they are available in the UK as a starter kit on Amazon. You know, we have to know that. Life isn't finished until your very last breath. Yes. I keep reminding people, would you remember that Colonel Sanders was retired before he ever started to market his wife's chicken recipe? And we would not have Kentucky Fried Chicken if he had said, oh, I'm too old to start this. How about wisdom consists of anticipation of consequences? You see, Nyasha, when you think about it, we get to choose every day whether we make our lives meaningful to others or whether we just are incapable of doing it. See, I'm a great believer, and you've heard me say this time and time again, that every time I do a broadcast, you know, if it helps one person that day, then it was worth the time. And you see, my And sometimes I don't even know on that day because, people will write to me later. How old was he when he started his wife's recipe? He was 66 or 67, I think. I could be wrong. But he had retired. He was retired and broke and needed to find a way to make money. Yeah, Kimmy's saying, did you look at the dusters you put over your shoes to clean the floor? Yeah, I have seen those. And, quite honestly, I have laminate floors. And I know that I'd be doing that Tom Cruise thing, when you slide across with your socks, and probably do myself terrible mischief if I had those. However, I do walk around my house in fluffy socks. I have, not regular socks, but fluffy ones. I don't know what you call those. I've actually got the fluffy ones with rubber at the bottom as well. So, I am aware of how good they are as dusters because I can see the bottom of my socks when I finish. However, they are being less meaningful since I got Clarence. For those of you who don't know who Clarence is, he's my robotic cleaner. And boy, I really, and he mops. This was not a waste of $200, people. You know what I mean? It was like, for $200, really? And the worst thing was I bought a robotic cleaner for a friend of mine very early on, and I used it with their permission for a couple of days before they took it away. And it got caught on everything, so I never bought myself one. But, what I didn't realize was that they fixed those problems very quickly. And, but now I got one. And it really, to be able to get that for $200, it was like, why would I ever not have had it? The only thing I would warn you about, if any of you get one, if you've got people in your house, warn them. He was 65 when he began selling chicken. I thought so, Jody. I thought he was... that he was retired. Yeah, Kimmy, the microfiber dust is a good exercise too. Exactly. I totally get that. But, following Clarence around does a good job. How about this one? How many of you like this one? The human body experiences a powerful gravitational pull in the direction of hope. That is why patients' hope are the physician's secret weapon. They are the hidden ingredient in any prescription. How many of you have felt that in your life, that as long as you have hope, you have direction? Wow. Niesh is saying, and there I thought my life was over because of all my struggles in life. My goodness. No, your life is just beginning, Yasha. Beth's going, I could be your little Clarence. Let me at the dirt. There is actually not very much left, Beth. I'm pleased to tell you. And now that other part of me has come out where if I see it, I have a problem with it. I'm getting very Beth-like now. I thought that I would tell you as well, for those of you who know that I, am busy dealing with diabetes, that I am amazed. I made French toast for myself this morning. And, it was my Sunday treat. But, the difference is today I had 2 slices of a bun, not 2 slices of bread. I had 2 slices of a bun made into French toast. And I made another 2 for breakfast for tomorrow. And a couple of pieces of bacon, because bacon apparently is good for me now. I have to tell you that I smiled as I cooked it. And when I realized, actually, when I realized how my mentality has changed. And Jody was telling me the same thing recently as well, that, Beth, I didn't think it would ever happen to me, but how many of you can see that that is on a plate that is just a side plate. And it's two little pieces of a bun that I sliced a bun like a loaf of bread, and just literally a sprinkle of powdered sugar. All right, so Nyasha, so first of all, Beth says struggles help you to get to where you're going. Yes, and sometimes we have no idea where that is. Nyasha saying, I've been watching many vlogs on YouTube. Some have chronic illnesses and they are so joyful and happy. I need to adapt to that way of thinking, but I need to know how. You just keep watching, Nyasha. Controlling your mind is like, if you had told me that I would get that much joy out of two small pieces of French toast, I would have said, who can survive on two pieces of French toast like that? But the difference is I so enjoyed them. And, part of me, when I picked up the powdered sugar, I thought, you really shouldn't add sugar to it. And I'm going, Sal, seriously, you haven't had a Mars bar since December the 20th, just sprinkle a couple of bits of powdered sugar. Yeah, you have done so well. And this is not about not keeping. And the funny thing is, for those of you who know diabetes, I believe that I have kept my carbs under 200 average since the diagnosis. And so, to me, that probably is the most incredible thing. You said that it was like, but I didn't want to do a monumental drop of weight. I understand if I'd gone straight keto and stayed there, I could have dropped a monumental amount of weight. I didn't want that. I want to change my life. I want to know that I can have French toast. How many of you understand where my mind is? But it's how much I have that I'm prepared to control. I'm going to have beef barley stew and be happy that most of that is healthy. It's amazing. Some of the things you think, and Beth, I want to thank you for teaching me a lot of things. I look at an avocado now and say, I think the biggest lesson that you taught me, Beth, was, about the fact that it's not the calories that are the problem. Because I was looking at it, I think it was yesterday, I had an incredible day of keeping my carbs under control, but actually I had a lot more calories. And then I thought sometimes that's what you do. You don't realize that you do. I'm just going to see how bad it was. I think I had 2,000 calories, which for me is a tremendous amount. Yeah. So, but my carbs were 47%. So to me, it's like, I am aware that with the snow on the ground, I haven't been able to get out and walk the way that I would like to, because I didn't even want to take the car out into it. I probably will take the car out tomorrow because the roads are clear now and before the next lot hits on Tuesday. And maybe I'll go walk a mall and get some exercise that way. Yes, it's nearly 2 months, Jody, and I am so grateful to you and to Beth for all that you've taught me. Yes, it actually, something, Nyasha, let me know as soon as you're a subscriber, because and if you can get into the blog that I'm writing a blog about my experience, Nyasha, and maybe that will help you. Yeah, I can really see that. And sometimes I literally look at my, I try and eat my, if I'm going to have bread or something, however small, I try and have it in the morning. So I've got the rest of the day to adjust that out with proteins. Well, Jody, I am hoping that I will be able to describe this to other people in a way that will make sense. That's what I'm aiming for. The whole reason I'm writing the blog is because I want people to see that it wasn't that difficult. It wasn't easy. I can't say that it was easy making those changes, but I think you'd agree, Jody, that it's amazing how quickly you adjust. Now, 2 months in, I'm absolutely amazed at how I will look at something and go, yeah, right. And then, the other part of me goes, yeah, right, but how much? Yes, Nyasha, if you have any problems getting in, I will help you. Make sure that you let me know, because I will send you the code so that you can get into that. It's something that the subscribers can get to. All right. And I've just sent out the code for the subscribers, but I don't think you were on the list. So as soon as you get on the list, let me know and I will send you the code. Okay. Yes, an avocado on toast daily, regardless of calories, is totally worth doing. Yes, especially if it's whole grain. I also, what I found, which I'm busy writing about at the moment, I'm busy looking at, we all know that flour isn't good for you, right? White flour. And so I said, but, wait a minute, I still like my crepes and I still, things like that. And so what I started to do, I think you know that, I started to mix my flour with 50% flour, 50% oat flour to make my crepes. Now that made a heavier crepe, but it still worked enough that I didn't feel any guilt eating the crepes. But this week I did something different, and that has changed my life in a way. I found out that if you mix 50% real flour with 50% gluten-free flour, and make your crepes that way, they are nice and fluffy. Now, I still haven't done 100% gluten-free, which will be next week, and to see how that affects the taste or anything else. All right. Niesh is saying, thank you, Sal. This is the way my brain works. Everything taught me must be broken down and simplified. I don't know why it works like that, but it does. You are a great teacher. Well, thank you, Nyasha. You know something, Nyasha? I cannot tell you the joy I feel when I am able to describe a difficult concept to people in a way that they understand it. That is my joy in life, is I literally will find a concept and I go, yikes, that's pretty difficult stuff. I wonder how I can put that in a different way that people can understand it, without having to, study psychology. To me, it's very important. Kimmy, I want to thank you. You see, Kimmy, part of my reason for doing these little tricks is because I remember that you can't have flour. So I'm busy looking at, okay, what can I do? But what I've discovered, a lot of the gluten-free stuff is very complicated. When I say very complicated, you need to add, do you have the gum stuff, Kimmy? Beth is saying, if I eat carbs too much, I feel sluggish and tired. Good whole food should make you feel energized. Yes. And that's why I am saying that I'm surprised in some ways. By the way, you also find out, to my horror, that, things like Chinese food, I've got to say this, when I eat Chinese food, I'm going, now what am I going to eat? Because I don't know why, but it doesn't actually, it tastes great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't fill me up the way I would like. So I'm now learning to have a smaller amount of Chinese food. I actually buy some and then I package it into 1 cup servings. And then what I do is I add the good stuff to it, Beth. You've taught me that. Yes, Kimmy, if you can, I want to tell you that I am definitely feeling the difference for changing my carbs down. Jody, how about you, honey? I know that you've had an incredible weight loss as well, but I just wondered, the other thing is, Kimmy, have you found blue diamond nut thins? You know what I mean? You find the most incredible things. And I found these one day and thought, wow, they sound good. They're made with brown rice. And let me taste those. They are so good. So I told Jody about them. And apparently Jody and Lionel are addicted to these things. By the way, Jody, they've come up with 4 different flavors now. I'm busy doing taste testing. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how it is possible to change this addiction to carbs. Yes, and Jody is saying she's feeling so much better switching to wasa from regular toast. Yes, I use light rye wasa crackers quite often. Kimmy, they're expensive here as well. I think they're about $5 a box. But I get a box and I put them into a little 8-ounce, what do you call them? 8-ounce plastic beaker, a plastic glass, you know what I mean? And I allow myself a treat every day of 1 glass full of crackers or multigrain rounds. That's one of my snack options. So that's what I'm doing, people. That gives me joy. I am actually dividing my food up in a way that I can have, all sorts of things. By the way, I don't know if any of you know, I also have found that I can fit into my diet, if you like, a super frosty ice cream on a stick. You know what I mean? It's like, how much am I prepared to give up so I can have my night finished with a super frosty? Yeah, Jody's saying the nut thins are divine. Yeah, I think so. Very flavorful. And you don't need many to feel satisfied. That's what I found as well. I take a handful. If I can fit it in my hand, that's a serving to me. And I can get probably 4 servings out of, so about $1 a serving. And boy, it's worth it to me. And especially if you have it with peanut butter and a couple of drizzles of honey. You don't need a lot anymore, right? Jody, do you still find that you put honey on it, but just a lot less? I find I'm probably putting about 1/4 teaspoon of honey onto that peanut butter. All right, Kim is saying, eat 6 tiny meals a day. It helps. Yes, I eat 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I eat 6 a day. And the strange thing is when I eat them, I remember what Beth taught me as well, which was, don't get too tied into the times that you eat your meals. I normally don't eat breakfast until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's because I get up late. And I don't worry about it. It's time for breakfast. Everybody else is having lunch and finished it already, but it's time for breakfast for me. And I just literally, and I don't have my nighttime snack until about midnight, after midnight. And yes, Jody's saying the same thing. Yeah, I found out that, all right, I know I'm not really meant to have honey, but a couple of drops in there is, that's what I'm going to do. I also found, I don't know about the rest of you, I'm using far less things like tomato sauce, HP sauce, all those sort of saucy things. I'm eating less of them. I'm making more of my own from scratch. And I again, On a Sunday, I allow myself to use whatever I want to use. Don't forget to drink water. That is my biggest problem. My biggest problem is I don't drink enough water. So, Beth, that is something I am definitely aware of. When I really concentrate, I can do it, but I have to concentrate. I really, I actually have a little thing that I'm working on, Beth, where 6 times a day I say, how many steps have you done and did you drink your water? You know, I literally, it comes up on my screen. Log how many steps you've done, plus, because I want to know how I'm doing, and then also, did you have water? And so that's what I am trying to do to increase it. The other thing is, that I need to go. All right, Linda says, Jody, I drink 2.2 liters bottles of sparkling water a day. That's once a day. Don't concentrate. You make yourself drink water before you eat. Yeah, that's, something else that I found, Beth, that works really well for me in terms of helping me cut down during the day. I actually soak oats and a little bit of Metamucil and something else together, but I soak them until it becomes glutinous almost. And then I use that mixture to make a smoothie. In other words, it is already filled with 9 grains or quinoa and stuff like that. You know, the stuff is in there that bulks up, and the Metamucil, of course, fiber. But what I do is I make a sort of like half a cup of it, and then I will put a teaspoon or 2 into some milk with some fruit and make that into a smoothie. So it's sort of like a multi-purpose drink for me. Nyasha saying, I don't like drinking water due to my illness. I know I should, but it's difficult to. Okay, so that's an excuse due to my illness, all right? So I could say I don't like drinking water due to my fatness. So that I'm going to try and, whatever we say after I don't like drinking water is irrelevant. The truth is we don't like drinking water. Okay, so what do we need to do to like drinking water? What I found is I drop into my water about a capful, not a cup, capful of ocean spray, pomegranate and raspberry or something like that, just to flavor it a little bit. Beth says she drinks 6 water bottles a day, 16 ounces each. That's wonderful, Beth. All right, Linda's saying she doesn't drink tea or coffee, just water. By the way, for some people, tell Nyasha, can you drink green tea? All right, Beth is saying, also remember, every caffeine you have depleted your water in your body. So you have to drink equal parts of water that you consume of caffeine drinks. Very interesting. All right, so that's what I was trying to say for Nyasha. Nyasha, if you can drink tea, either Chinese green tea or black tea, and maybe put a lemon in it and some ice cubes, make iced tea. The other thing I have found, guys, and I've got to say that, for somebody that, okay, fair enough, Nyasha. What I found as well is that I don't use sugar. I now use stevia, I think it's called, or Truvia. And I have found that I can have that on my crepes and not notice a difference. All right. Kimmy's saying that the cold makes her more sick, and she doesn't know why. There probably is a reason. I found, for example, that having a literally being in the house for over a week because of the snow. I've worked really hard at not letting myself feel stir crazy, right? I've been doing stuff and really getting active inside, even though I haven't done as many steps as I would like. I know that I have sort of kept a pretty good balance there. And so, I think that the main thing, Nyasha and everybody else, the main thing that we're trying to say here is don't concentrate on what you can't do. All right. The trick is concentrate on what you can do. I said to myself, I choose to still have crepes and French toast. The question is, what am I prepared to do to adjust it to make it less dangerous for me? So do you understand? So I'm always looking at that, whatever it is that I feel like I would like to eat. It's like, okay, it's not that you can't eat it. How are you going to adjust it so that you can and not feel guilty? If you can eat it and still keep it below 50% carbs, this is not going to be too bad. I really do feel at a very deep level that I have already changed a great deal of my being. The question is, did I tell you that Yvonne actually came up and checked my blood sugars for me? I was quite surprised. She was concerned in case she realized that I hadn't got a tester. And she decided to test me one day after I'd eaten. Did I tell you guys about that? And I thought that was such a kind thing to do. And she said, it just suddenly struck me that I should check your blood sugar for you. And she checked me, and after I had eaten, about an hour after I'd eaten, it was about 6.8. Right. And you know something, Beth? I think, that is a very good question. Right, Jody. Listen to what Jody's saying. She's saying she has a salad before she eats mac and cheese so that she doesn't eat too much of it, all right? So you can still enjoy it, but not as much. That's why I'm putting everything into 1 cup mason jars. I know that 1 cup of that is not going to cause me too much trouble. So, everybody, I'm hoping that you had some peace on Soul Sunday. And I'm hoping that some of you can feel the difference, that you are growing, that you are doing so much better. Nyasha, I think that would be a wonderful thing to discuss with your doctor, because that would change a lot of stuff in your life, I believe, and a lot of pain. For those of you watching on the replay, she's asked that I don't discuss that. So, okay, everybody, I need to go and serve up my beef barley. And I something, Kimmy, I know we all grow, and my thanks to each and every one of you that comes in to participate, because you will never understand, I don't think, or maybe you do, the number of people who are watching us that we don't know about, that really truly get help from listening to us chit chat to each other. So I want to wish you all an incredibly peaceful week. I want to wish you all the strength to be able to hear the negative and go, I choose not to stay in the negative. I choose to be at peace. I choose to hear somebody trying to force me to do something and know that this is my decision. And so all of you, Linda, please give Nicholas a big hug from me and tell your son hi, your other son, whose name, no, I can't remember your other son's name. But I just want you to say hi to them. And I send you all a huge hug. and be at peace. It is our choice. Look after one another, but please, please, please remember, look after yourself. This is DearMamaSal saying, thanks for being here. Thank you for helping so many people. And yes, keep Paul in our prayers. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.